So we're a few weeks away from launching our new 2022 car, probably the biggest regulation changes chassis-wise from the last 50 years. And before we do so, we can stop for a second and have a look back on how the regulations evolved since the start of the new hybrid power unit era, basically from 2014 to 2021. Starting with 2014, it was very much the jump into the hybrid era. Alongside the new power unit came as well some fairly significant changes on the chassis side. Some of them were directly linked to aerodynamic performance, other to safety. For aerodynamic performance, it was just a reduction of downforce. The front wing got narrower. We also removed the beam wing just to get a balanced loss of downforce. And then for safety came the new regulations to enforce lower noses. In the previous years, there was a tendency for aero performance to design cars with a very high nose and chassis. That was very efficient for downforce. It was very good to feed the floor in terms of floor quality. But when there was an accident, there was always a tendency that one car was going to launch above the other one. And that was quite dangerous for the drivers. So the 2014 regulations tried to lower the chassis, get a new wording for the nose to make sure all the cars would end up with a low nose. And when you have a side accident, you just stay where you are. You don't risk to launch above. The other aspect which affected the chassis performance for aerodynamics was the relocation of the exhaust tailpipe. All the cars were using the exhaust gas to enhance the aerodynamic performance of the diffuser. So in the early 2010s, we were talking about blown diffusers with directly the tailpipe on the floor next to the tires. Then when we got to 2012, there was a first attempt to relocate the tailpipe to back off performance, but then teams still managed to find another location, which was on the side of the bodywork, quite upstream of the tires, and other aerodynamic ways to still get the benefit. So to make it simple, the regulations prescribe the tailpipe location under the rear wing, above the crash structure, in a location where there is nothing you can blow the gas towards. The effect of the exhaust relocation was the most powerful, because in the previous years, the biggest aerodynamic update you could see in season was not a wing, was not a floor, it was a new engine map. All this put together in 2014 led to a reduction of downforce, something like 20 to 30%, and the cars were aerodynamically a lot simpler to manage. In parallel to these chassis changes, with the new power unit, of course it became a bit more difficult to package the new bigger power units in the car. And of course, we also had to cool much more components, much more fluids than we were used to. The engine block itself is very small, but then all the side components, the exhaust, the turbo, the compressor, the plenum, the intercooler, all these start to take a lot of space. They all need independent cooling. So independently from the aerodynamics, the power unit in terms of cooling started to create a lot of challenges to design the car, package the car, and try and get something quite small which aerodynamics could exploit to enhance all the performance. The other aspect in 2014, which was quite significant as a consequence of the new power unit, was a large increase in minimum weight. So the cars became quite a lot heavier, to a minimum weight of 690 kilo. This was quite a large step to manage with the chassis design. The other aspect in terms of weight was with the new power unit, new fuel load regulations. With the hybrid engines came a maximum fuel allowance for the race of 100 kilo, with a fuel flow rate of 100 kilograms per hour. But the key was the 100 kilograms of fuel for the entire race. Again, in comparison to the V8s of the previous years, in a race, we would tend to use, broadly speaking, 170 kilo of fuel. So the new engines became far more efficient. As a consequence of the fuel load in a race, the car would be a bit lighter, but when you were going to qualify, the car was quite a lot heavier than before. So putting all together, you have a heavier car with less downforce. It's a recipe for having a car a bit more difficult to manage and less performing than in the previous years. The last aspect which started to be quite significant from 2014 onwards was the tower management. All the teams started more and more to look and to invest into managing the towers through a stint, understanding all the thermal behavior, the wear, and all these aspects really started ramping up through these years. That was going to feed in all the following years to quite a large extent. 2015, 2016, beyond the tweak on the nose regulations, all remained quite stable. And you would see the cars, they would evolve in a fairly subtle manner. And the biggest changes you would see were across each year when you would have the opportunity to review the entire power unit packaging, a new chassis, you would review all your cooling package, you would have an opportunity to review your front and rear suspension, your gearbox. So this is where you would see the biggest changes. And typically, you would see a trend of the cars shrinking more and more in size towards the back. You would get more compact radiators, more compact power unit, smaller gearbox, and all this was just freeing up potential for aerodynamic performance.
Welcome to the first annual DC Ladies Jam presented by DC Shoes at Stoner Skate Plaza. Sunday, March 6, 2022. Contest is on! $1.
从小就对航空充满了热爱，产出了第一架原型机001，对我们来说是非常非常兴奋的一件事情。它真的是一个很特别的飞机。
我是这个项目里的设计师，我觉得这个工作它比汽车设计要更难。第一次见到就觉得，就是你做的东西终于造出来了。我在这么短的时间内，现在它就摆在外面了。我们希望为这个项目付出更多，然后我们也愿意做这些事情。
其实飞行器它的性能很大程度上取决于电池的性能，既需要高功率也需要高能量。这个电池最大的亮点就是它的安全性和可靠性。我看到了这个电池装在飞机上整个过程，是一种很有成就的体验。
我看着这个部门建立起来的。我们团队其实就是每个人都身兼数职，他们是真的想把这个事情做好。我想让所有的人都知道 Vimo 的这个故事，然后 Vimo 的这个团队。梦想总是要有的，万一实现了呢？今天我们终于有结果了。
其实开始的时候，我们对这个领域也不是很了解，也走过很多的弯路。我为我们现在这个团队里面的每一个成员都感到非常的自豪，大家都是在把这个项目作为我们职业生涯的一个作品在完成。我也非常自豪能够为大众汽车的未来可持续出行做出我们自己的贡献。
This is a very special day for me. In the automotive industry, we are at the edge of a new era. We put a team in place in order to pursue. We get this beautiful tiger up into the air, even with some brave people on board.
Flight 2022, prepare your flight plan will be a right turn out after departure.
Very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is your captain. I would like to welcome you on our special flight QR 2022 for the 1-year countdown for the World Cup in Qatar.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're currently flying over the city of Al Wakra. Up next we have the Al Jalib Stadium. And we're now approaching Al Thumama Stadium.
The stadium in about 5 seconds.
We are now slowly approaching the Education City Stadium. You're right, magnificent Al Bayt Stadium. We're now approaching Qatar's biggest tournament venue, which will host the final. The next stadium will be completely dismantled after the tournament.
Some cars just kind of do it, you know, just like a great work of art. I remember very well seeing my first green Miura parked on Windsor High Street. I was about 13 or something. Yeah, big moment. The whole sort of musical score is an important part of it, especially when they're mid-engine. You've got the whole thing going on behind your head. My grandfather was a good racing driver before the war, exceptional, and a very talented engineer, and he was really into it. Hence he built the circuit, and then when the motor racing was on, he'd take me down to the track and I'd meet all the drivers, and so I was very disappointed when he closed it in '66. So we were trying to get the circuit reopened. That was proving to be quite a challenge. I was president of BARC, and one of the board members there said to me, "Why don't you do a hill climb in front of the house?" I brought the track inspector up here to have a look at some ideas here. He was immediately, much to my amazement, very positive. With this, I can't believe this is the 30th year. Absolutely extraordinary. And there are some brands, which I think you just couldn't really do it without, and they've got to be there. And the Lamborghini is absolutely one of them.
I feel like skateboarding takes out the best part of me, the most happy part, the most creative part, and I love it because it makes me feel like I'm doing something great all the time. I didn't speak the language or anything, and I think on the first day they took me on a skate trip, and then the next day they're like, all right,
We always meet in Magba, so from then I always go there to meet with people.
El skate femenino está creciendo más rápido que antes. Creo que gracias a las redes sociales y a los medios, y las futuras generaciones lo conciben ya algo como más cotidiano.
Para mí, Magba es un poco mi barrio también. Aquí aprendí muchísimo, o sea, hice un crecimiento del skate muy bestia. Nadie te mira mal, ni nadie te juzga, todo el mundo me saludaba, ya me empezaban a conocer, me daban un montón de consejos acerca de los trucos que hacía mal y rápidamente, en verdad, me fui formando de la familia del Magba. Wow, era Magba Life por completo.
A principios de 2016, los fines de semana empezamos a salir siempre con mi amiga Vero, de Así Planchaba. Íbamos de misión para un vídeo largo que ella hacía todos los años que se llama Women Working. Entonces, una vez me lesioné, le dije a Vero que estaría guay si hiciésemos un fanzine. Y Vero respiró profundo y me dijo que haríamos una revista de verdad.
I feel like female skateboarding is growing so much. We're going in an awesome direction. I see clips of different girls on Instagram every day and everywhere, and it looks like so much progression, so many girls who are ripping, so I'm stoked on that. And I see a whole future for all of us. If I have to say something to people who's coming to skate here, maybe at the beginning feels a little intimidating, but if you get to know the people and skate here for real, it's super fun and people is super nice.
August 24, 1992. Hurricane Andrew smashes into Florida, causing record damage for that time. 55 deaths in Florida, Louisiana, and the Bahamas are blamed on the storm. 1814. British troops invade Washington during the War of 1812. They burn the White House and the U.S. Capitol, forcing President James Madison to flee the city. 1932. Amelia Earhart begins a journey that makes her the first woman to fly solo nonstop from coast to coast. The aviator takes off from Newark, New Jersey, and lands in Los Angeles 19 hours later. 2006. Astronomers remove Pluto from the solar system's list of planets, reclassifying it as a dwarf planet. And 1989. Baseball's all-time hits leader, Pete Rose, is banned from the game for life. The move follows allegations that he bet on games while manager of the Cincinnati Reds. Years later, Rose finally admits his gambling while pressing for his ban to be lifted.
I'm interested in getting back down on the field and teaching the game of baseball because I don't think baseball is being played the right way today.
Today in History, August 24th. Sandy Kozel, The Associated Press.
Come with us. We're just getting started.
It's going to be so much fun, I promise you.
August 24th, 1992. Hurricane Andrew smashes into Florida, causing record damage for that time. 55 deaths in Florida, Louisiana, and the Bahamas are blamed on the storm. 1814. British troops invade Washington during the War of 1812. They burn the White House and the U.S. Capitol, forcing President James Madison to flee the city. 1932. Amelia Earhart begins a journey that makes her the first woman to fly solo nonstop from coast to coast. The aviator takes off from Newark, New Jersey, and lands in Los Angeles 19 hours later. 2006. Astronomers remove Pluto from the solar system's list of planets, reclassifying it as a dwarf planet. And 1989. Baseball's all-time hits leader, Pete Rose, is banned from the game for life. The move follows allegations that he bet on games while manager of the Cincinnati Reds. Years later, Rose finally admits his gambling while pressing for his ban to be lifted.
I'm interested in getting back down on the field and teaching the game of baseball because I don't think baseball is being played the right way today.
Today in History, August 24th. Sandy Kozel, The Associated Press.
Welcome back in our studio, and in today's news,